organization, how our OFWs sacrifice for their families, and how we smile through super typhoons and challenges. And this afternoon's program is about connecting to that resilience, our tibay ng loob or katatagan to managing our emotions. Just as our heroes fought for our national freedom, we can fight for emotional freedom and overcome anger using simple techniques that fit our way of life. So let's explore this journey together as one Filipino family and Casebuana, sharing both our struggles and our resolve to overcome them. So let me just share my slides. Are you seeing it now?
Yes, there we
I
go.
hope.
We can see your live now.
Great. Okay, so let me just put that on the second page, on second slide. And so we start by defining anger first, of course, which we all know as a powerful, if not a destructive emotion. And the American Psychological Association defines it as an intense emotional response to perceived threats, injustices, or frustrations with physiological arousal, which means there is a trigger, there is a stimulus, and cognitive appraisal, which plainly means a mental evaluation or interpretation of a situation. This means that there are two elements for anger to erupt. So, one, there should be a trigger, and second, there must be a perception or there must be an interpretation to that situation for anger to erupt. So, but when used effectively, anger can be actually a springboard for a meaningful change and injustice. However, when left unchecked, it can destroy relationships and impede personal growth. We may not be able to suppress or eliminate anger entirely, but it's vital to understand it, to manage it wisely, and transform its destructive energy into a constructive action. Remember that danger is just one word away from anger. And for this Resilient Serie episode, we'll explore how to transform anger into something productive for our families, for our communities, and for our organization. So we also would want to discuss about the common misconceptions about anger that many believe, like how our friends often tell us, kimkimin mo na lang, galit na yan, wag mo na lang ilabas. And many think suppressing anger is good. But just like hiding trash under the bed, it will eventually stink and smell. We sometimes avoid confrontation by bottling up emotions that can lead to stress related conditions like high blood pressure. Everyone can learn to manage anger, just like how we patiently wait in long jeepney lines or endure Metro Manila traffic without losing our control. We can certainly develop patience. And as they say, dapat chill-chill lang, no? Especially with challenging situations. At this point, let's also discuss about the cycle of anger. And this cycle starts with as mentioned earlier, there must be a trigger. It could be something, small like a traffic along EDSA, a boss pressing for a report with a tight deadline, minsan unfounded business targets, or a customer with an unreasonable demand. Then we have escalation. That's when you feel your, blood pressure rising, your face getting hot. Maybe you're starting to feel like nanggigigil ka, no? That feeling where you're so frustrated, you want to squeeze something. The outburst stage is what we really need to watch out for. This is when we might say hurtful words. Nakakapagsabi tayo ng hindi magagandang salita, or minsan we bang the door, we slam doors, or post something we'll regret eventually on social media. And finally, there's the guilt. We value harmony in our relationships, so after an outburst, we often feel terrible about disturbing the peace, especially with family members, close friends, or coworkers in the office. Remember, we need to acknowledge this cycle, which is the first step to breaking it, to breaking anger. And we'll also talk later about ways to handle anger. What are the physical signs of anger? We all have experienced these in one way or another. And these are crucial as our body send clear signals when anger starts to build. When we feel our heart pounding, especially on the palms, forehead, and underarms, this is actually a sign that adrenaline is surging through us, preparing us for a fight or flight response. This rapid heartbeat is something many experience during stressful situations like rush hour traffic or difficult discussions in family gatherings. There's also increased sweating, especially on the palms, which is another physical indication of rising anger. Muscle tension, particularly in the shoulders. We experience it, in the neck and back, which creates physical strain and potential pain. How many among us experience this? This tension is often connected to suppressed anger, causing, again, stiff neck or backache. A clenched jaw, minsan grinding teeth and furrowed brow are signs of facial tension that can occur unconsciously. Our tendency towards, pagkikimkim ng galit or ng pot sometimes leads us to internalize frustration rather than expressing it directly. And more often than not, this results in jaw pain, yung sumasakit ang ating mga panga, or sometimes lockjaw, no? And other physical manifestations. There is a need to pay attention to these physical reactions to enable us to implement calming techniques before our anger affects, our actions. Now, let's deepen our discussion on the impact of anger. First, let's talk about anger at home. Ang ating pamamahay ay isang santuario, sabi nga po nila, a place to rest, reconnect, and feel safe. But unmanaged anger, it turns that sanctuary into a stress zone. Sometimes pa nga, a war zone. And studies show that couples experiencing frequent anger report 43% less satisfaction in their relationship. And that's not just another number, that's love slowly eroding. And it doesn't stop there. Children who regularly witness angry outbursts from their parents are 40% more likely to develop anxiety. They grow up nervous, unsure, and fearful, and this shapes their future. Even the atmosphere in the home changes. Families in angry households spend 52% less quality time together. This means less laughter and less bonding. And the mind, after conflicts, family members have 35% more trouble concentrating, whether it's in school, work, or daily tasks. So let's pause and ask, is our anger building our home or breaking it? And how about the impact of anger at work? Let's be honest, work can be stressful. And I would say very, very stressful. But when anger takes over, it does more harm than we realize. Did you know that anger cuts our focus by 30% and clouds decision making by nearly half? That's productivity down the drain. It also damages relationships. One angry outburst can drop team trust by 58% and lower collaboration by 37%. Suddenly, people avoid each other and teamwork suffers. Worse, it stalls careers. Sabi nila, mahihirapan ma-promote, ika nga. Leaders see anger-prone employees as 63% less promotable than those who manage their emotions well. So climbing the corporate ladder is not just about talent. It's also about temperament. And let's not forget the bigger picture. Hostile work environments lead to 42% more burnout and 25% more absenteeism. So kapag naobserbahan na natin that our team members are starting to absent themselves, they must exhibit some burnout, or they must be demotivated at work and start disappearing. So if you want better teams, better careers, and better workplaces, let's manage anger and not let it manage us. Anger may feel powerful in the moment, but it weakens the very foundation of our work culture. So let's choose clarity and harmony over chaos. We've just discussed the impact of anger at home and in work, but how about its impact to our body? We often think anger is just an emotional outburst, but it's also a physical event, and the effects on our body are serious. Did you know that chronic anger increases the risk of stroke by 19% and heart attack by 30%? That's according to the American Heart Association, and it doesn't stop there. Over time, anger actually shrinks our brain's prefrontal cortex up by 15%. The prefrontal cortex is the command center for decision making and self control. So imagine its impact to this organ. And let's talk about our tummies, ang ating tiyan. Anger spikes acid reflux by 47% and worsens symptoms by 38%. So not another great news for those who love spicy food like sinigang. Even at the cellular level, anger accelerates aging. Frequent outbursts can shorten telomeres, those protective ends of our DNA, making our bodies age up to 9 years faster. And we Filipinos are resilient by nature, but we can't overlook how anger silently damages our health. Let's be mindful. Managing anger isn't just about peace of mind, but also protecting our hearts, brains, and bodies. So in this Resilience Area episode, we'll explore small but powerful steps to do just that. Now, let's talk about anger's toll on mental health. According to Stanford's Mental Health Institute, when we get angry, our brain releases a flood of stress hormones, and these don't just pass through, they damage the very neural pathways that help us manage emotions. And over time, this weakens our ability to stay calm and cope. Chronic anger, in fact, increases the risk of depression by 44%. It affects our neuroendocrine system. Well, this is the delicate balance of hormones that keeps our minds and bodies stable. It also fuels anxiety. One episode of anger can cause a 57% spike in anxiety symptoms that, tight chest, racing thoughts, restless energy. It gets worse each time. Even our thinking takes a hit. Sustained anger can reduce your working memory by 26%. That's your brain's mental notebook. And just when you need rest, anger ruins sleep too, disrupting REM. We call this the rapid eye movement sleep by 33%, leaving you exhausted and more irritable the next day. Now, let's face it. Everyone feels init ng ulo, of course, sometimes or maybe even oftentimes as the case may be. But when anger takes over, it can damage our relationships, health, and peace of mind. And the good news, we can learn to manage it. Overcoming anger does not mean just suppressing emotions, but understanding them and choosing healthier responses. It's a journey toward emotional strength that makes life better at home, at work, and even in our communities. And in the next few slides, we'll explore simple, practical strategies that help us respond with calm, not chaos, because a peaceful world starts with a more peaceful you. So let's start with some relaxation techniques. Breathing exercises like what you see on screen. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds. This can quickly calm the body and mind when we feel anger rising. And this relaxation technique is especially helpful during very challenging moments at home, in the office, or wherever we may be, And in our relationship-focused culture, we sometimes bottle up. This means ikinukubli or itinatago natin our emotions to maintain smooth interpersonal dynamics. And these breathing exercises give us a healthy way to manage anger without, confrontation. So you can use this 4-4-4 breathing technique when there is a need to rush reports being asked by our bosses or attend to succeeding meetings, walang katapusang mga meetings during the day. It helps one to actually stay calm and centered instead of getting stressed. So I think let's practice this simple but powerful breathing exercise together now. Okay, inhale for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 2, 3, 4. You feel that, tension melts away as you focus on your breath. I'd like to share with you the next strategy, and we'll be discussing more about this strategy lengthening. And this strategy is reframing your thought. The second strategy is a powerful tool when the going gets tough. Have you ever noticed when we're angry, upset, or frustrated, our thoughts can quickly spiral into something even more negative? It's in those moments that reframing, which means changing the way we see a situation, becomes important. Here's how we can, do this step by step. One, notice the negative thought patterns. The first step is simply becoming aware of what's going on in our minds. When we're feeling overwhelmed or upset, our thoughts can get stuck in loops like, nobody ever listens to me. Nobody ever cares for me. I am alone in this battle. Parating ako na lang ang naiiwan. These kinds of thoughts can feel very real in the moment, but often they're exaggerated and don't reflect the full picture. So recognizing them is the first move towards changing them. The second is challenge those thoughts. So once you've noticed a negative thought, don't just accept it as a fact. Ask yourself, is this always true? Or am I generalizing? Do I have evidence to support this thought or evidence that even contradicts it? By asking these questions, we create space between us and the thought. The space allows us to see things more objectively. And remember earlier, there are two things, for anger to erupt. There must be a trigger and there must be a perception. So the gap or the space between anger and the response is a space where we can be able to change our perception, and perception has a lot of impact in the way we respond or react to those situations. The third is challenge the thoughts, or look for alternative explanations, I should say. Now comes the compassionate part. So instead of jumping to conclusions, try asking yourself, is it possible that the other person is just having a bad day? That's why this person is grumpy at this moment. Or there could be another angle which I probably haven't considered yet. Baka may iba pang angulo or condition which I haven't thought of. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it helps prevent us from interpreting anything in the worst possible way. And this is called catastrophizing, jumping to unreasonable worst-case scenarios na hindi pa man din nangyayari. We already think of something worse than what could possibly happen. And when we're able to shift perspective, our emotions tend to settle and we become more open and more understanding. The fourth is replace the thought with something true and balanced. We're not doing something like toxic positivity and we deny ourselves the reality of the situation, but we are very conscious that ito pala yung flip side, which is the final step, to consciously swap the original thought with something more grounded and realistic. For example, instead of no one listens to me, or you might say, sometimes people don't listen, but there are also times when they really do. Or instead of nothing good ever happens to me, say, I'm going through a difficult situation right now, but there have been good moments and more can still come. This step is key because it's not about forcing yourself to think happy thoughts, just like, what toxic positivity is, but choosing thoughts that are true, helpful, and bring emotional balance. So why these matters? When we get to better at reframing our thoughts, we become less reactive. We stop jumping to worst case scenarios and we gain more control over how we respond to stressful situations. It helps us feel calmer, more optimistic, and even improves how we interact with others. So, how can we have more positive reframing on situations at home to overcome anger? How can we apply this at home? As discussed, positive reframing is simple yet very, very powerful, especially in a setting where emotions run deep, expectations are high, and of course, that setting is home, where we are most ourselves more vulnerable and often most reactive. You see, when we're in our own home environment, dealing with chores, routines, family dynamics, it's very easy to fall into patterns of frustration. We might feel ignored, underappreciated, or overwhelmed. But here's the thing, many of those frustrations come not just from what's happening, but how we interpret what's happening. And there's where positive reframing can truly change the emotional climate of our homes. The heart of positive reframing is empathy. When we pause to understand what someone else might be experiencing, we create a little emotional space, which is a buffer between ourselves and the trigger. Remember the two components where anger can erupt, no? Trigger and perception. And in that space, we gain clarity. We make room for compassion. It's not pretending everything is perfect or excusing unacceptable behavior, but shifting the narrative in our minds so we respond from a place of understanding rather than anger. So let's take a look at some of the examples of how this works in real life. Negative thought, my spouse never helps with chores. Well, that feels frustrating, right? But let's reframe it. Maybe they handle the finances or take care of the car or offer emotional support in quiet ways. By recognizing other contributions, we reduce resentment and open the door to a kinder conversation about needs. Positive reframe. My spouse contributes in other ways I may not notice at the moment. Negative thought, my kids are ignoring me on purpose. Well, that's a common one, but step back. They may be immersed in their own growing world of interests, schoolwork, or friendships. And that's not a rejection of us. It's actually a sign of growth. So, how do we positively reframe it? My children are developing independence and focus. Negative thought, this mess will never get clean. I think we've all had the moment of looking around in our homes and we're just feeling overwhelmed, lalo na kung nakakalat ang lahat, no? But how about this? Yung sapatos nasa pintuan, mga platong di inuurungang nasa mesa, nagkalat na pinagbihisan sa sahig. These can be viewed as signs of presence of a living, breathing family. So positive reframe, we have a home filled with signs of life and activity. Negative thought, this mess will never get clean. I think we've all, had that moment of looking around and of course, feeling overwhelmed as mentioned earlier. Another negative thought, my family doesn't appreciate what I do. Of course, this one is serious, one that cuts deep, but sometimes appreciation is not absent. It's just spoken or shown differently. Maybe it's a quiet thank you, a hug, or even the way we rely on you. The expressions are there. We just need to tune in differently. Positive reframe, my family may express gratitude in ways I haven't recognized yet. And finally, another negative thought, nobody ever follows the house rules. If that's not universal, I don't know what is. But here's another way to look at it. Maybe those rules need a little adjustment, or maybe your family is learning how to balance structure with spontaneity. And either way, it's not a failure, it's part of the process. Positive reframe, our household is flexible and adapting to everyone's changing needs. So the next time you feel that familiar rise of anger, before the sigh, before the snap, pause and ask yourself, what might my family members be experiencing right now? What positive intention might be behind their behavior, even if it's not obvious to me? That pause alone can change the tone of conversation and in many cases prevent conflict altogether. Because when we reframe our thinking, we don't just protect our peace, we preserve our relationships. Now we go to the situations at work. Work environments are full of expectations, deadlines, personalities, pressures, and just like at home, we are constantly interpreting what people say and do, often without even realizing it. Sometimes those interpretations push us towards frustration, bitterness, and even burnout. But what if we could change how we see these moments? That's where positive reframing becomes a game changer, not only for our peace of mind, but for how we build better working relationships. Reframing allows us to shift from the victim mode to a more empowered mindset, from being the victim to a victor. And over time, that shift can make us actually more resilient, collaborative, and even more respected at work. Let's walk through a few examples. Ito, negative thought. My coworker always gets credit for my ideas. Well, that's a tough one, and it feels also unfair, right? But let's reframe it. If others are benefiting from your ideas, it means they have merit. And the next step is learning how to advocate for yourself and find allies who help elevate your voice. But it starts by believing that what you bring to the table matters. Positive reframe: my ideas are valuable enough to be recognized. Negative thought: my boss micromanages everything I do. And many of us have felt this. No? I am actually guilty of this from time to time. It can feel like a lack of trust, but consider this. Maybe your boss is under pressure too. Or maybe they see potential in you and want to ensure excellence. You can still, set healthy boundaries, but a shift in perspective helps you engage more peacefully, more diplomatically. Positive reframe: my boss is invented in the quality of my work. Another negative thought: this project is impossible to complete. Of course, we've been all there. Tough deadlines, unreasonable targets, complex deliverables, but instead of shutting down or escaping from them, projects like these are the ones that build careers. They're not just tasks, they're opportunities to grow, to innovate, and to prove that you can handle complexity, and that reputation follows you. So, positive reframe: this challenging project will showcase my problem solving abilities, right? Negative thought: my team never meets deadlines. It's frustrating to feel this way, but here's another way to say it. Maybe there's a breakdown in communication, scarcity of manpower, lack of other resources, or even clarity of expectations. Reframing turns the complaint into a collaborative opportunity for growth. So, how do we reframe this? We can identify process improvements together to move forward. And
Sir,
thus,
sir,
the
sorry,
team
sorry.
spirit.
Sir,
Yeah.
sorry. Our audience is noticing kasi that your cursor, natatakpan po niya yung bottom part ng slide. So if you could move it
All
slightly
right.
para po makita yung question sa baba, yung white ba?
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Nakikita na nila yung
Okay.
bottom
All
part.
right. Okay. Okay. That's thank you for that. Now to continue. Yeah, we'll ask these questions, and when frustration at work starts bubbling up, take a moment to ask yourself with these questions. These questions are in the red. What might my colleagues be experiencing? How might their reactions reflect workplace pressures rather than personal attacks? And that pause and shift doesn't just change your attitude, it improves your communication, increases your influence, and yes, helps build trust. Because ultimately, the goal is not just to survive at work, it's to thrive with clarity, with connection, with confidence. And next time something triggers frustration, don't jump to conclusions. As what I was actually presented earlier by Ces, let's reintroduce again the SOS technique. Step back, observe, steer, and that's the mark of emotional intelligence and leadership. Okay, so we've discussed about positive reframing earlier. Let's now talk about some anger management techniques at home. When emotions run high, one of the best things you can do is walk away temporarily. And I'd like to emphasize that temporarily, not to totally leave the house and not come back, and literally leave. Just step outside, take a breath of fresh air, and give yourself a space to cool down. And next, instead of bringing up issues in the middle of an argument, try scheduling family talks. Simpleng parang chill-chill lang na pakikipag-usap ng family members sa bawat isa. Set a time when everyone's calm and is ready to listen. It makes really a big difference. And when irritation builds up, channel it into calming activities, whether it's music, a quiet walk, or even your favorite hobby. You're not avoiding the issue, you're managing your emotions wisely. And finally, end each day with the gratitude practice. Maybe you can gather everyone at dinner time and ask everyone to share one positive thing they noticed about someone at home. It, softens the hearts and even strengthens family bonds. Let's shift to anger management at work, because stress doesn't stay at home, right? When frustration builds, don't power through. Instead, take short breaks. Step away from your desk, breathe, pause before reacting. We have a chapel in PGLI building. So if you're in the head office, you can just actually go to our chapel and spend a few moments there in silence to diffuse. Practice what we call in Cebuana Luwilier Foundation traffic control of the mind, or mental traffic control, where at varying points during the day, specifically at 10:30 or 2:30, we just play an instrumental music. We turn off the light, and that's it. Try it. It's a quick mental spa. It diffuses stress and calms the mind in the midst of urgent deliverables. Next is use assertive communication. Speak up about concerns, but do it with clarity, with humility, not with aggression. More than winning an argument, it's about being heard and understood. Also, try to request clarification rather than assuming the worst. A simple, can you help me understand this? Can prevent a lot of miscommunication and unnecessary tension. Finally, set realistic boundaries. Know your limits and speak up if expectations become overwhelming. There's nothing better than clarifying it with the bosses. And I call it humble assertion. At the end of the day, managing anger at work means choosing thoughtful or conscious responses over emotional reactions. So we stay positive, respectful, and well. It does not mean I am suppressing emotion, but responding with intention. So we can work better and feel better every day. Let's move on to another strategy after a lengthy discussion on positive reframing. Our third strategy is to use humor, because sometimes a good laugh is exactly what we need. Dapat chill-chill lang, ika nga. Did you know that according to the Journal of Behavioral Medicine, laughter can significantly reduce stress hormones in the body? That means a quick chuckle isn't just fun, it's science-backed stress relief. And even better, the American Psychological Association reports that it only takes a few seconds of humor to shift our emotional state. That's faster than most breathing exercises na ginawa natin kanina. No? And when tensions run high, especially in conflicts, the International Journal of Conflict Resolution found that appropriate humor, I'd like to emphasize that, no? Appropriate humor successfully diffuses tension. Again, the key word there is appropriate. Humor that's respectful and well-timed, not sarcastic and dismissive. And there's some truth to the adage, of course, that laughter is the best medicine. There's an experiment made by the scientists in the University of Texas, and they actually extracted happy hormones called serotonin from the brain. They put serotonin on a petri dish and the cancer cells on it, and eventually the cancer cells died. This means to say that all along, yung medicine pala ng cancer are actually within us. We just have to be very happy, so that we need to have a constant stream of serotonin from our brain, right? So next time you feel, stress rising, try lightening the mood. Humor connects people, breaks the ice, and gives our minds a moment to reset. Okay. But I'd like to also, take at this point the power of forgiveness and its relevance to discuss it in the aspect of anger management. Forgiveness is more than a kind gesture. In fact, it is a power of self-care. Sometimes, sa ating pagpupuyos ng ating mga damdamin, we cannot forgive people for what they did. But it's a simple release of that pent-up energy that we've been holding so long that can actually release us from that negative energy. And science backs this up. The Mayo Clinic tells us that forgiveness improves overall well-being, strengthens relationship, helps us sleep better, and lowers stress. In fact, studies show that people who practice forgiveness have 35% less stress, and thanks to the reduced cortisol, which is the body's main stress hormone. And sleep, letting go of grudges leads us to a 20% improvement in sleep quality. Why? Because when we stop replaying past hurts and pains, our minds can finally rest. Forgiveness also deepens relationships up by 25%. It creates space for more honest, meaningful connections rather than walls built on pain and pride. Even our thinking becomes clearer. When we forgive, we lift a fog of resentment that can cloud our decisions and creativity. Researchers found a 15% boost in mental clarity. So, yes, forgiveness takes courage. Sabi nga nila, only a strong person can forgive. But it also unlocks peace, energy, and joy. It's not just for them, the forgiven, it is for you, the forgiver. And again, as mentioned earlier, I think it was Mohandas Gandhi who said that only a person who is so strong can forgive, and the weak cannot forgive. So I'd like to share with you also some of the habits to build long-term resilience. And resilience is defined as the ability to bounce back. And despite all of whatever external stimulus that happens to us, we can be able to go back into that same state. And this term is called resilience. And one way to build resilience are the following. Well, let's start first with self-reflection. Regular journaling helps us process emotions before they pile up, and it's like our kwentuhan sessions during family gatherings. When we talk, we actually heal. There's another practice here. It's gratitude and taking each time. Taking time each day to appreciate what we have reshapes the way we think. And as they say, the more gratitude we express to the universe, the more the universe positively responds to us. A beggar mind always takes, but while a contented mind is always happy, always giving, and we only get what we give. And then there's meditation, giving yourself quiet me time, even for just a few minutes a day, resets your mind. It's a powerful habit for mental clarity, peace, and inner strength. So, as someone who is initially skeptical about meditation, I mean, I was like this before. I can attest to how transformative meditation has, become in my daily life. Even just finding 5 minutes a day, the time it takes to enjoy a morning coffee, can make significant difference in building mental resilience and emotional independence. Well, older generations often had an innate sense of calm and innate peace that we can now learn to cultivate intentionally through regular meditation practice. Meditation creates that valuable space between stimulus and reaction. The two factors, the two components of when anger erupts. There must be, again, the trigger and the reaction. And meditation, which is a space, can be able to make us resilient and practice the steer part of the SOS. Rather than react to the situation, meditation helps us to respond to the situation. Response is negative, reaction is negative. And later on, we'll discuss lengthily what this potential responses are and reactions are, and how we can be able to transform them. So with consistent practice, you'll become more aware of your specific anger triggers, whether environmental factors like heat, traffic, or noise, and learn to respond thoroughly rather than automatically. So I'd like to uh, request everyone, let's just practice meditation at this point so that you have an experience of how and what meditation is. Okay, I'd like to request everyone to wherever you are, find a place where you can actually sit comfortably. You may close your eyes or you may not, but take a deep breath. And as you breathe, allow calmness to fill your mind. And as you breathe out, release any tension you may be holding on to. Imagine yourself as a peaceful observer, sitting quietly at the center of your mind. And from this inner place, gently remind yourself, I am the master of my feelings. Anger does not control me. I control anger. Visualize situations that previously made you angry, now floating past you like clouds. You watch them pass without reacting, understanding clearly that external situations cannot disturb your inner peace unless you give them permission. Affirm softly to yourself, I have the power to remain calm. I choose peace. Feel your strength growing, your inner power gently radiating outwards, so you can respond clearly, calmly, and with wisdom. Hold this feeling of quiet confidence. Know deeply that your inner calmness influences your surroundings positively. Take one more deep breath, breathing in serenity, breathing out all remaining traces of anger. Slowly bring your attention back to the present moment, feeling refreshed, calm, empowered, carrying this peaceful strength in your daily life. I'd like to share with you what are the benefits of meditation before we conclude this afternoon's program. Because, this simple daily habit can bring lasting change, especially when it comes to managing stress and conditions or emotions. First, regular meditation has been shown to reduce stress hormones significantly. And according to the Journal of Psychosomatic Research, just 20 minutes a day can help lower that constant feeling of pressure. Then there's emotional regulation. The Frontiers of Psychology study found that people who meditated responded better during conflicts. They stayed calm, clear, and in control. Need better sleep? Well, the Journal of Sleep Research reported that after 8 weeks of practice, sleep quality improved noticeably. And when it comes to anger management, the Journal of Behavioral Medicine found a reduction in anger episodes after 3 months of daily mindfulness. So it really pays a lot to practice this mental traffic control, which we call in Cebuano Luwiller Foundation. At any given time, actually, you can practice this even during the hour, a minute of retracting back, checking your thoughts, very empowering. But of course, there are other ways you can practice silencing of the mind. In fact, when you wake up first thing in the morning, rather than tinker with your cell phone, probably it's much better to just reflect what has happened last night or yesterday. Maybe what are the lessons that I can get from yesterday's activities? Because I need to be able to learn the lesson and not actually to bring to the following day the negativity of the previous day. But even before that, in sleeping, I need to be able to mentally flush out any negative experiences that I had during the day. Because as they say, the very first thought that I would have in the morning is the last thought that I had in the previous night. So make sure that in the previous night or that night, you are able to flash out all negative experiences and negative thoughts so that when you wake up the following morning, you'll have fresh thoughts and, uh, positive energy to face another day. Okay, this Independence Day, I'd like to actually ask you to do this several assignments in as much that you were actually able to participate in this Resilience Serie session. And probably you can choose one anger management strategy that you've learned from this session today and practice it consistently for the next 21 days. It can be from journaling to practicing gratitude, from positive reframing to meditation. And I suggest you track your progress and note any improvements in your emotional responses and definitely celebrate even the smallest victories along the way. Then I encourage you to share your story. Sabi nga natin, we value bayanihan, no? Let's help each other. And maybe together, through our sharing of stories, we can build a community of support and inspire each other on the path of emotional independence. So thank you to all of you for your attention and participation today. I hope the information we've shared and presented has been useful and informative. And over to you now, Ses.
Thank you so much, Sir Jonathan. Thank you po for that very freeing talk. We've learned that anger has a lot of bad effects, not just mentally, but also physically. But I think the most important part of our discussion is the fact that we have strategies to cope with extreme emotions like anger. Sabi nga ni Sir
Mhm.
Jonathan, we have, firstly, you can do a breathing exercise. Diba? Inhale, exhale for 4 seconds. Second, you reframe your thoughts. Maybe it's the way you think about it. Maybe it's all in your head, the way you interpret the situation. So it's very important to ask yourself, what is this all about? Is this all in my head? Am I just misinterpreting it? You use humor. Napaka-favorite ko yun, sir. You use humor in order to have a more positive way of perceiving your situation. And of course, lastly, you forgive. Yun ang pinaka-favorite part ko din. You forgive those who have harmed you. Now, we have enough time to accommodate questions from our from our participants to our Zoom, especially those also participating sa Facebook Live. So if you have any questions po, we encourage you to send them sa chat dito sa Zoom. If you have any questions you want to clarify, we have over 70 participants actually, sir. So I'm sure some of you have some questions. There we go. I have one sent to me. This is from one of our participants. I'm not sure sa akin sinensor. So, this is a cute question. You might like this, sir. Inside Out. Inside Out, the Pixar animated movie, which I know you have seen. We've seen it together, so remember, taught us that
Yeah, yeah.
anger is not an inherently bad emotion. As a person who comes across as magagalitin or madaling magalit, is it bad that is it bad that sometimes or occasionally is it bad that anger is sometimes or occasionally my driving factor to accomplish things or to do things? So she's basically using
Yeah,
anger to be more productive. Is that bad, sir?
actually, there should not be any place for anger. And I have been also hearing terms like justified anger, no? But when we use anger, we actually just give out negative energy. And what we actually give out is the same energy that we get back. So if I were a manager for that matter, should I think, do I need to be being feared by people or being loved by people? You're actually even more respected if you are actually loved rather than feared, right? So for those who are actually trying to, assert themselves, or for those who are actually using anger as a means to subdue people or to let people, follow them, they may follow, very temporarily, but in the long term, they will have resentment. And again, what you give out is something that you get back in return. So you have the option to be the rightful manager, right? To be very good in your attitude and to be assertive. And there's always a way to humbly assert yourself. But it's much better to be doing this rather than asserting it with aggression or with anger because you get what you give.
Thank you so much, sir. You get what you give. Everything returns to you. Everything back gets back to you, sir. Thank you, sir. So next, we
That's
have
that's
a question.
actually that's actually says, if I may also further expound on that, it's the entire law of the universe, and we may not be able to know about it, but if there's a law that transgresses both spirituality and science, it's actually the law of reciprocity, the law of the law of sow and reap, the law of taking and giving. And even in spirituality and in religiosity, we hear that what you sow, you will reap, right? And in science, particularly in physics, the third law of thermodynamics, for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. So if there's a law that transgresses both spirituality and science, it's the law of karma, it's the law of reciprocity. So I just need to give, and eventually I get what actually I give. So just give something good so that what's going to happen to me is good as well in return.
Thank you so much, sir. So our next question is from Miss Leah from PJLI. She said, "How do you deal with people with attitude?" I'm guessing bad attitude.
Uh-huh. Depends on our perception, depends on our lens. If we look at them negatively, we are actually even reinforcing their negative attitude. There's an experiment made by a famous Japanese scientist by the name of Masaru Emoto. I don't know if you've heard of this. What he did was to actually see how his thoughts affect matter. What he did was to experiment on water. He meditated on a glass of water. He poured out his positive emotions, positive experiences, and he, scooped water from that glass and examined it under a very powerful electron microscope. And he found out that when he had very positive thoughts in the water, beautiful water crystals, hexagon form, were formed. And with the same water, he poured naman all his negative experiences, negative emotions, and he found out that eventually these beautiful water crystals in hexagon shape eventually dissipated. So nawala yung beautiful hexagon shape, nagkaroon ng mga butas sa gitna. This means that our thoughts impact matter. And we know for a fact also that our body is composed of water, right? 60% water. Our brain is 80% water. So, in fact, if I constantly think negative about something or someone, the very first effect is on me because whatever the quality of my thoughts is the kind of hormone that is released in my brain. this, the law of karma affects even in the way we give thoughts, whether positive or negative, to other people. So the first victim is ourselves. So if a person has a negative attitude and magnify that attitude, I am actually reinforcing the negativity of the person. So if I want to transform a person, I need to look at, the best version of that person. Kahit 99% bad na siya at 1% good, I need to amplify the 1% because that is the kind of energy that I'm going to give to the person. Because if I always look at the negative side of the person, that's 99% bad, whether I like it or not, I am actually reinforcing the negativity of the person. And as mentioned earlier, what I give out, I get back, right? So if I think always about the negativity of the person, tamad itong staff na to, hindi marunong respeto, I am actually amplifying the negativity of the person. And that person is actually getting worse because in my mind, I am reinforcing that person's negativity. And whatever I give out, I get back. So whether I like it or not, by the law of reciprocity, the quality of my thoughts that I give out is the same thing that I get back in return. So hindi siya magbabago, baka magkakaroon pa siya ng hindi mas magandang relationship sa akin because I have a constant stream of negativity. And we need to check also our power of thoughts, right? According to psychologists, there are about 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of these thoughts are negative, right? Hindi lang tayo pinansin ng boss natin, galit na tayo, or may iniisip na tayo hindi maganda sa kanya, right? So, I need to transform that kind of negative thought so that I can be able to, transform whatever that actually even comes back to me because thought is an energy. And as an energy, and the quality of our thoughts comes back to us because it's a thought that's actually given out to the universe.
Thank you, sir. There you go, Miss Leah. You think of those people positively because it will benefit you at the end of the day. There we go. Our
Yeah.
next question po is from Miss Neribet. Sabi niya, hindi ako marunong magalit. Is this normal? Sana all.
Kilala ko yan, ha? Si Bebang yan. Si Bebang ba ito?
Si Miss Bebang Mata.
Dapat. Oo, siguro natuto ka na, Bebang, sa pamamagitan ng 15 years na meditation natin sa CLIB. Galit in a negative sense is something that's actually a reaction, not a response. But when you express something positively without galit, possibly being caring, being compassionate, being empathic, that's actually more positive than expressing anger. We need not express, repress, or suppress our anger, but transform. I'd like to share with you an experiment made in Japan a couple of years back. They found out that more than 10,000, Japanese executives were dying every year because of stress. So particularly suppressed stress. So what they did, they set up anger rooms. Meron tayo niyan sa sa Pampanga, yung rage rooms, where they give, these executives a baseball bat. Tapos you can actually bang the wall just to express your anger. Yung sa Pampanga, they have actually plates, electric fans, and even TVs, right? And you can actually smash it and throw it, against the wall. But depende kung ano yung itatapon mo, mas mahal yata. But from this experiment, they found out that, anger even worsened, if anger even increased, because again, the manner of expressing or showing up anger is reinforced. So nakita nila na lalo pang naging mas magagalitin yung mga tao. So what's the lesson on this? Don't express, don't repress, don't suppress, but transform. And the only way to do that is to transform it through our mind. So if we see situations negatively, don't react. But even in our mind, the SOS technique, step back, observe, and steer. Step back, pause, observe, reflect, and steer. Reframe, kagaya ng pinag-usapan natin kanina.
Thank you so much, sir. We have a question from one of our scholars, a very lengthy question, but basically what she's saying is that what are some ways or examples or strategies that you can use in order for you to express your voice or your thoughts in a constructive way and be heard effectively, especially kung ikaw yung klase ng tao na hindi napapansin unless magalit ka or sumigaw ka?
It begins with personal integrity and authenticity. Do you know that even our mere presence can transform an atmosphere, even without even saying anything? Like, for example, when we see the Pope, diba? Their divinity attracts us, their holiness attracts us. So it begins with the quality of our thoughts. Again, as mentioned earlier, psychologists say that there are 40 to 50,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of these thoughts are negative. Am I able to transform my thoughts such that I can be a source of positivity and positive energy? There's a machine that actually measures or determines the quality of our thoughts, and ito yung chine-check yung aura natin, and if we have a constant stream of positive thoughts, we are said to be very charismatic because we attract people. This type of aura magnetizes people that they're drawn towards us. On the other side, the flip side, if you're constantly negative, people are repulsed by us, which is true, particularly for managers. When you enter a room, do you notice that do you notice when people gravitate toward you, or they actually are repulsed by your presence? So
Di pa
this means to say
nagsasalita, sir.
you probably have a lot of negativity that you repel people rather than attract. So your mere presence with the quality of thoughts can actually transform person, because again, thoughts have energy in them. So when I am able to transform my thought, I have a constant positive stream of thought, I can be able to inspire people to transform themselves. And again, thoughts have energies, right? Thoughts have weight. Thoughts are waves, and they have weight or mass. And whenever I release these positive or quality thoughts outside, I can be able to influence other people. So the question of how I can be able to transform other people with my presence, just be. You don't even have to lecture. You don't even have to do anything. It begins with quality thoughts. It begins with positive thoughts. Of course, the seed of all actions are thoughts. Thoughts become words. Words may transform into habits. Habits can eventually lead to our destination. So what is the what's the start of destination? So what's the seed of destination? It's actually a thought. Just like in building a house, every construction piece is very important. In building a life, every thought counts as well.
Thank you so much, sir. So there you go, Sophia. Everything starts within, everything starts with yourself, and especially with your thoughts. So thank you so much, sir. But I'll get back to you later for one last message to our viewers, to our listeners. Marami pa sila. Thank you so much for tuning. Alam ko marami sa inyo walang pasok, but we're really thankful for you being here. So of course, the Happiest Pinoy Resilience Series is part of our initiative of the Bonnie Villiers Global Search for the Happiest Pinoy. Now returning after a brief hiatus, and in its fifth edition, the nationwide search for the happiest Pinoy becomes a global search for the happiest Pinoy. So we encourage everyone to watch this video to find out what is the search for the happiest Pinoy and how you can join. So let me go ahead and share my screen for a moment. Go.
Happiest Pinoy? Cebuana Luilier's search for the happiest Pinoy started in 2009 to look for Filipinos who radiate optimism and inspire others even in the face of life's challenges. The search has witnessed several inspiring stories. This 2024, the search is on for the newest, happiest Pinoy. Are you what we're looking for? This year, we have exciting categories. Masayahing Gen Z, Happy at 60, No Way Kapansanan, Inspiradong Champion, Bagong Bayani, Hatid Sigla, Bibo sa Negosyo, Proud as Pride, Creative Pinoy. There's more. There are also special awards for those spreading joy through their unique life stories. Katutubo, Happiest Cebuana. There are 3 ways to join the search. First, through video applications. Another way is by filling out the Google form on our social media pages. And third is by visiting any Cebuana Luwilier branch near you. Just answer the question by essay or video so you can share with us your inspiring story. Applicants will be judged based on their ability to rise above difficulties, inspire others, and demonstrate genuine happiness. You could win these exciting prizes and the prestigious title of Happiest Pinoy. Ano pa hinihintay mo? Sali na at baka ikaw ang next Happiest Pinoy.
Happiest Pinoy.
There we go. Thank you so much. So, the global search for the happiest Pinoy is continuing in its collection of nominations. So we encourage everyone, if you think you have the qualities to become the next happiest Pinoy, we encourage you to submit a nomination for even for yourself. Allowed po ang self-nomination. So you can submit your nomination first online by going to the website of Happiest Pinoy, www.happiest-pinoy.com, or visit the Facebook page of Happiest Pinoy. You can also visit the Facebook page of Cebuana Luwilier Foundation. You can download the forms and submit them online. Samahan nyo na po ng mga pictures, ng mga documents, anything that you think could support your nomination to be the next Happiest Pinoy. And of course, pwede din po kayong pumunta sa branches ng Cebuana Luwilier Foundation. We have more than 3,000 branches nationwide. You can submit your nominations there. And there we have categories from youth, senior citizens, to our OFWs, our local manggagawa, creative arts, the LGBTQ plus community, as well as our indigenous community, as well as our loyal Cebuana customers. And there's 500,000, 500,000 tax-free up for grabs, and the title to be the next happiest Pinoy.
Yeah, Cess, we want to inform everyone also by next week, we will be in Northern Luzon, right?
Yes.
Cagayan and Isabela for
Yes,
the
absolutely.
press briefings and meeting with the LGU mayors, promoting the search for the happiest Pinoy.
Yes po, and the roadshow of the Happiest Pinoy continues. So next week we'll be in Isabela, we'll be in Cagayan, and of course the following month we'll be in Davao and Cagayan de Oro. And we encourage you to submit your nominations now because the nominations will end in July 31. So kung meron po kayong kakilala na tingin nyo is an example of hope, resilience, and optimism, don't hesitate to submit a nomination for them.
And hindi tayo humihinto sa pag-encourage ng nomination, although we already have about over 500,000 nominations, no? And I think we can be able to hit what we actually generated last search, more than 800,000 nominations from last search. But now still 1 or 2 more months to go, we're now hitting 500,000 nominations.
I'm very
So,
confident.
let's look for the happiest Pinoy. Maybe yung isa sa mga listeners natin, makakakuha ng 500,000 for being the happiest Pinoy.
I believe that. So there we go. We've learned a lot from this talk. We've learned a lot from your lecture. Do you have any few more message to our listeners, maybe a takeaway for them?
Yeah. The first session, we spoke about the power of a positive mind, and this session talks about anger management. Hopefully, you will invite them, Cess, on our third episode, which will deal about another negative emotion, which is fear and worry. But in the end, I'd like to say that when anger feels overwhelming, kung talagang nandyan na yung sobrang galit natin at nagpupuyos yung damdamin na yan at parang gusto nating ilabas, dahil tayo probably na-betray, na-deceive or what, maybe just remember your place in the vastness of the cosmos. But the universe holds about 100 billion galaxies, and dito lang sa atin, sa Milky Way galaxy, there are another 100 billion stars. And yet here we are, each one of us just one person, one story, and one breath. And that's not to say our problems don't matter. They do. But sometimes we need a little cosmic perspective to remind ourselves our challenges are part of a much bigger picture. They're meaningful, but they don't have to consume us. So the next time anger rises, try this. We mentioned earlier taking breaths, 4-4-4. But this time, maybe take a deep breath, step outside, look up at the stars, and let that sense of wonder loosen anger's grip on you. Let it remind you that peace is always within reach, even in the middle of life's chaos. You are part of something bigger. Let that be your motivation. Let that be your peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You're part of something bigger. Certainly something we would remember. So speaking of our next episode, I'd like to encourage everyone to attend our next episode, because for our next episode, we'll have a very special guest speaker. That's going to be Sir Charlie Hogg, Director of Brahma Kumaris Australia, with 40 years of experience in meditation practice, and an international speaker and a well-being coach. So July 9 po yan, 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. So please don't forget to like and follow the Facebook page of Cebuano Luwilier Foundation for announcement and for registration. Malapit na po yan. And before we end our session, I'd like to please ask everyone to open up their cameras. Let's take a picture. There we go. Hold on. Let's take a very quick picture. Medyo several slides lang po ito. So, hold that smile. There we go. The first slide. Okay.
Lahat lumiliwanag tuwing nakangiti ka. Hirap at problema'y patatabunan mo ng ligaya. Ano man ang mangyari, bulong sa iyong sarili, okay lang, kaya mo yan. Anumang pagsubok, kayang lampasan. Pinoy ako, ipapakita sa buong mundo.
So much for joining
Pinoy
the
ako,
second episode
sisikat rin ng araw.
Brazilian serie. We'll see you on our next episode. Don't forget to like and follow the Facebook page of Cebuano Luwilier Foundation. We're also on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn to look out for the announcement and for the registration. Thank you so much. Happy Independence Day po sa inyong lahat, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Maglalaho rin ang dilim pagtapos ng